Hello and welcome to another full movie review by Fairly Critical. I am your host, Jacob, and we are going to be doing something a little different today. Normally, we would take a look at a movie, give you a spoiler-free review, and then go into a spoiler section review. But instead of doing that, we are going to show you an interview with the director of the film that we're looking at today. Yes, this small, insignificant little YouTube channel actually got the opportunity to interview an honest-to-God Hollywood film director, and we are going to show you pieces of that interview. So what we will do is a quick spoiler-free section like we always do, and then we will show you parts of that interview, and then we will release the full interview as a separate video later on today. The movie that we're looking at today is called Press Play. It is a romantic drama about a young couple's relationship and how they deal with love and loss. But before we begin, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel. It means the absolute world for you guys to spend time out of your days to take a look at this. And if you do like it, please give a like to the video, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to share it with all your friends or anyone that you think might enjoy it. But without further ado, let's begin. As always, we will take a look at the acting first. The film stars Clara Rugard and Lewis Pullman, with support by Lyrica O'Connell and Danny Glover. Rugard and Pullman's chemistry is fantastic, especially in the second act of the film, where they really get to share emotionally turbulent moments. Rugard is especially impressive as the film's POV character, sharing with us every ounce of emotion that she feels on screen. I can't speak highly enough of her work on this. This is her acting, and of course Pullman's acting is supported by Danny Glover, who offers us the wisdom and support of a man who himself has gone through love and loss, and an actor, and Danny Glover, who's a huge veteran of the Hollywood scene, and Lyrica O'Connell, who is a strong foil to Rugard's character, as well as a barometer for her success and how she's going about the action she's taking in the movie. The film is directed by Greg Björkman, who you will get to see in the interview section shortly. This is Greg's directorial debut, and it is quite a strong showing, if I do say so myself, as an amateur film critic. The pacing of the first act is a bit rushed, but as you'll see in the interview, that is partially due to the pandemic, as the film didn't get to go through the normal post-production process that most films get to. So it's a little bit shorter than I think it probably could have been. It's by no means a deal breaker. It is a great film. And I'm content to give him a break for that, since, you know, it was during the pandemic, especially since the rest of the movie is perfectly paced and shot. The camera techniques employed are perfect in allowing Rugard and Pullman to show us what they need to. So yeah, a little bit of a pacing issue at the front, something we could very easily forgive and forget, especially since the rest of the movie is fantastic. Bjorkman also did the screenplay for the film, and I immensely enjoyed that as well. The premise of the movie feels very fresh, as it's, you know, a love story interwoven with time travel, and excellent music played over a mixtape. The twist at the end is also perfect, in my opinion, as the ending was going to be one thing, and ended up being something different. And had it gotten the first ending, it would have been good. It would have been a strong way to finish a film. I've seen other films finish it this exact same way, but it wouldn't have been anything particularly unique. Whereas with the twist ending, it gives us something unique and something that I thought was particularly well played. It's a natural twist ending that is foreshadowed earlier by an intimate, if slightly cheesy, conversation between the young couple in the first act. So I thought this was great. The soundtrack, as music is very important to the plot of the story, as we'll see, and the soundtrack is a fantastic compilation, with most songs being diegetic to the scene that they are found in, which is always a nice touch. Japanese Breakfast actually performs their song in the movie during the couple's first official date, which is kind of a cool little element to it that, a band in our world showed up in the band in their world and sang a song, and it's pretty cool. It's just a nice little touch, I thought. Um, as a conclusion, Press Play has a fantastic premise that is brought to life by the strong vision of its writer and director and the talents of its cast. I think that while criticisms of the first act pacing are understandable, they can also be forgiven due to the pandemic. And like I said, overlooked thanks to the success of the second and third acts. This is a perfect date night movie that I would give a strong 7 out of 10, which, makes it objectively better than, almost all the Marvel products that they've released since 2019. So take that for what it's worth. But I do highly recommend this movie, especially if it's a date night watch. You can rent it on Amazon. That's how me and my wife watched it. So I will leave it here at 7 out of 10, and we will take a look at our interview with the director and writer, Greg Björkman, starting now. All right, so I got a handful of questions. For those viewers who may not fully comprehend the responsibility of a director, do you just want to walk through kind of what all it entails with this film, what you did?
Well, so I co-wrote and directed the film. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that you have to do in order to get to the point of actually being a director. And it's a long. I have a very long story to that. I started in editorial back in 2011. I worked on my first movie after making the transition from being a set PA. I'd worked at American Idol and So You Think You Could Dance and on a bunch of music videos. And then ultimately, the production designer who did the Daniels movies that have been very successful the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I worked on a music video with him, and this was way before like either of us had done big projects yet.
Sure.
And so he was like, you need to get out of the PA role. Whatever you need to do, you need to get out of that, because if you stay in that too long, you're gonna get pegged as that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got to get out of this. So I saw an opportunity in editorial. I took it. I was basically doing like dailies, like syncing dailies in editorial. And it was a small editorial, so I got to know the editor, the assistant editor, and the director of the movie, because it was a very micro budget kind of movie called Stuck in Love, which is actually very successful on Netflix after it was released. And getting to know those guys and how to create a story was vital towards my directing, like knowing what I need in editorial. Working in editorial for a number of years allows you to kind of know what you need when you're on set.
Yeah.
So it's a directing is a job that is a hybrid of many jobs. You have to know departments. You have to know a lot of information, because it's your job to make the decisions for what's best for the story. And if you don't have enough information, then how can you make the best decision for the story? So I went to school for cinematography. I took a job in editorial, and I've always wanted to be a director. And that's one of those things that, like, if you tell people that you want to be a director, then people kind of label you as, oh, this guy wants to be a director, and then they kind of brush you off. So I kind of like kept that to myself a little bit and just absorbed information,
Sure.
as much information as I possibly could. And then the opportunity came when Josh Boone, who directed Stuck in Love and also The Fault in Our Stars, we were having dinner, and he said, I've had this idea. We were talking about music, and he said, I've had this idea that's been kicking around in my head for a very long time, but I haven't been able to fix it. And he's presented me with the idea, and he said, hey, what if if you can fix this, you can go direct it. And so that was back in like 2011.
Oh wow.
So it takes a long time to to get from point A to point B in this industry, and it can also happen in an instant, because that's also what happened with the movie. We were going out to talent, and then Clara attached herself, and then we found a financier, and then we found our Harrison,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden we're deciding locations, and Hawaii comes up on the list, and I'm like, we have to go there. So we ended up shooting there, and it was a 26-day shoot. It was a lot of fun. I literally I think about going back, very much like that Lost meme.
Sure.
We have to go
We have to
back.
go
Like I say that
back.
I say that to James, my co-writer, all the time. We have to go back. So yeah, I mean, overall, it was a fantastic experience, and having to go back to your original question, being a director, it takes a lot, but then also you're if you're informed on what the story is and you know what the story is supposed to be,
Yeah.
it's a very easy job as long as you know it. Like if you know what the story is supposed to mean and what it's about and what the characters are, and you know your job becomes a lot easier
Sure.
because knowledge is power. So
You had just this big kind of not necessarily large ensemble cast, but 4 or 5 people that just spend a lot of time with each other. So you guys had
yeah.
a lot of fun on set. Sounds like, especially in Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally, I don't, this sounds very cliche, but it was like nonstop fun. Like I didn't stop hanging out with people during, the off days. I would go and hang out with them.
Yeah.
It's also the job of the director to know the headspace of what your actors are, and being close to them, making sure that who they are. It informs you. It lets you be able to make the right decisions and understand what they like and what they're going to bring to the table once the workday starts on a Monday. But yeah, it was it was surreal having so many different names with this movie, because I grew up. Most people grew up watching Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. Like I'm
Sure.
getting too old for this shit. But I grew up watching him in films like Dumbo Drop
Yeah.
and Angels in the
I was
Outfield,
about to say, yeah.
and I think that that's probably why he saw this movie, or read this script and saw the potential for a movie that, teaches, a life lesson.
Yeah.
That was, I think the most important thing when it came to this movie was making sure that there's, you know, an ability to entertain, but also to teach as well, because I think that's what most entertainment should do, rather than melt our brains into mush.
Yeah.
It makes a more worthwhile story as well. Like if you care about it, and you invest in the characters and you hope that they grow, then that means that you're wanting to grow yourself, and maybe you'll do that as well.
So those first 20 minutes or so where you're showing the love story is shot is pretty fast paced. Was that intentional? Was there intention behind the fast pace, or was it like a time, like were there time constraints that you guys were worried about? Talk me through that first kind of act.
Well, so we had to choose between, when we wrote the story, there's a lot more content that was in the beginning part,
Yeah.
and we got hit by COVID in editorial. Like we were about to test like my director's cut, and then we had to close editorial because the pandemic hit, and so we kind of were flying blind a little bit, and so we didn't get to test the movie and see what an audience would think.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the feedback that we had you know uh, to take into consideration was from peers and other directors, and people who make movies.
Sure.
And so we did find that there was a consensus to shorten as much time in the beginning to get to his death,
Hmm.
but there was definitely content that I wish that we still had in the beginning, because I do think that pacing wise it could be it could have been a little bit better in the beginning to just match what it is for the rest of the film.
Right.
But filmmaking is about compromise and making sure that the story stays true to what it is. And so you have to make concessions to a certain degree when you're making films.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
it's my
absolutely.
first one. It's my
Hey,
first one.
and it wasn't a bad one either. So I mean, there's hopefully your next go round you get an extra. We don't have a global pandemic that really alters the effect for you.
I don't know. I feel like maybe every time we make a movie, we should have a pandemic. Maybe that'll be it.
Maybe that's just same level of success. If they're always as good as this one, then
it
hey,
can only get better from here.
So a lot happens post Harrison's death. That with the 4-year time jump, it seems like Chloe and Laura aren't as close as they were. Chloe's having trouble painting. Laura's having trouble painting. Chloe and Harrison's parents break up. Is there anything else, headcanon wise for you that happens?
Well, I mean, Laura definitely is stuck on the past.
Sure.
At that point, there's kind of a thing that happens with grief that isn't talked about very much, and you get stuck in this this feeling of, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And you can have some good days, and then all of a sudden it goes back to not being good. So I feel like Laura probably experienced quite a bit of grief in losing Harrison, but she obviously had needs and stuff.
Yeah.
And we can't ignore those types of things. But then at the end of the day, like, it just defaults back to having that absence. Like, she didn't have closure from losing Harrison. She literally was ready to make the B-side of the mixtape with him, and then he was taken away from her prematurely.
Yeah.
And there's a lesson to be had that Cooper gives her when she gets to experience it for the second time, is that we don't get to know, like, how much time we have, and we should cherish all the time that we do have with someone, rather than trying to make something of that time that, like, you should, like, I think her reaction to wanting to save him, knowing that he's alive in some universe, her wanting to save him, I think that's something that we all would want to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's a level of control, and if we think that we have that control, then we're going to be very disappointed when it turns out that we don't. So I think that was, I kind of answered your question, but I kind of drifted a little bit.
No, I mean, that is a perfectly fine answer. I mean, it brings us back around, and we were talking before we hit record that had it ended with the final song on the A side and her just letting him go and everything, that would have been a perfectly fine ending, a great ending, one that other movies have done. And then flipping it over to the B side and kind of just hitting reset on the whole movie was kind of cathartic for us as an audience to get to see, hey, she fully let go. I did. Yeah.
I'm glad that you feel that way, because that was the major intent that we had. Like, James and I, when we were writing it, we were like, you can't end it on, a note that, because I said earlier that filmmaking, in my opinion, and storytelling should be about growth and entertainment. And, one of the things that is, vital to growth is positive reinforcement. Having her go through all of that and then realizing that, there's this opportunity to maybe save him again, go back to the beginning and reset. And then she's grown as a person. She realizes that maybe I should listen to what Cooper said.
Yeah.
And then from there, she gets rewarded for that.
Yeah.
Harrison's alive.
And she'll never know. She'll never know that she gave up that that 4 year, that life period that she already had. So it is a complete and utter loss of control for her, but it worked out. So I really I thought it was great.
Well, here's a question for you. Do you
Yes.
think that she knew at the end of the film, or do you
I
think that she didn't know?
I'm on the side of I definitely think it was kind of left open a little bit. I'm on the side of I don't think she knew, just because she never had the relationship with him, and previously, whenever she had gone in the past, it had always been, I know him, and I know my mission is to save him. And in my head canon, when she completely erased their relationship, she completely erased all memory of him. That's my head canon. That's what I choose to believe. Why is it different?
No, I'd be curious to hear what other people think, because it's definitely something that has been discussed.
Has it?
When we did a screening of it, we asked the same question, and there were a few people who said both sides. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
I think we see it from a perspective that we want to see it.
Sure.
So,
I definitely, most of my life has gone through with rose-colored glasses. So you know what? If it's the other way around, Greg, I reject your reality and substitute my own, because I like mine. I like my answer. What's next for you? What do you got? What do you got coming down the pipeline? Anything you're working
what's
on?
next for me? Well, I've been talking to James a little bit about what this would look like as a sequel. We're still discussing it.
Interesting.
Yeah, when a sequel comes up, you kind of almost give it a little bit of a pause in terms of hesitation. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, like you're gonna reopen that wound. Like, how are you gonna do that without making it a terrible disaster? Is this just a money grab? Like, I don't know. But we like that's on our mind. Like, that is like something that I've thought about. It's like, how do you do this but do it tastefully and well done,
Yeah.
so that the characters have room for growth still. So we've been talking about that a little bit. There's a thriller that I was writing with a buddy for a little bit that we've kind of put on the shelf for a little bit, because he's a busy guy.
Sure.
I've been pretty busy, so that I might return to soon. And then just I've been reading stuff. I just read this book, Diary of a Void, which the financier of my first movie, of Press Play, said, I love this book. You should check it out.
Interesting.
I think they're trying to acquire the rights to it right now, so hopefully there's an opportunity
Yeah.
to direct something there. But yeah, I'm looking for the right project, I think, because that's the most important thing. I think I can't just accept something for the sake of
Sure.
accepting it. I think I need to find something that speaks to me and can round my career in the way that I want it to. So still looking currently.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you can do I don't know if you'll be able to surpass Press Play. I sincerely hope you do, but I enjoyed this movie immensely. We had it
Thank you.
for a couple days. My wife didn't get to watch it with me the first time, so we went back and watched it the next night. And
Oh, what did she think?
she liked it. She liked it for the kind of the same things, and because it's me and I make her go to all the action and thriller movies and everything, so she hadn't seen a romantic drama in a while either. So she was like, "Oh, this is a nice change of pace." I'm like, "Yeah, enjoy it. It'll be the first one. It'll be the last one for a while." No, I'm just kidding.
Until Press Play 2.
Until Press Play 2, and then when the thriller that you're talking about comes out, I'll have to go make her watch a thriller, which she's not a huge fan of. So I'm like, yes, excellent. I get to torture my Greg. If you can help me torture my wife just a little bit, I'd really appreciate it with that thriller.
I can probably do that. I think one of the things that we had, James and I, when we were writing it, one of the things that we had on our board as a goal was give a satisfying ending. And also make girls cry. Those were our two. Well, make people cry in general, but those were the two goals for the project.
Yeah. Well, I think it was able to do that. I mean, and Clara and Lewis especially in that ending scene, the second scene at the bowling alley, were phenomenal in making you feel exactly
Oh
what
yeah.
they wanted you to make, exactly what they wanted you to feel. So
On that note, like I think it was very important to me that that was a oneer, because that was going to be raw emotion. There was going to
yeah,
be no reason to cut away from that. It was all about them and letting them perform and give it their all. And we did. I believe we did 12 takes of that particular scene, and we also scrapped like doing some additional coverage for it because I was so keen on having that be a oneer.
yeah,
And they brought it, and it was I forget what take it is that we used, but I remember being like, when I saw it, I was like, this is the one. uh we got it,
that's
like
excellent.
it was, yeah, they brought it. Both of them were incredible, and
Yeah.
the chemistry just shows on screen.
Well, that's it for me and my questions. Do you have anything you want to add? Anything that you felt like people would want to know?
There is a small Easter egg in the movie.
Okay.
It is in the record store when they're first meeting each other. Harrison puts his hand onto a pole. There's a sticker of our first camera, our A camera operator, that I took, and then our art department printed it out and then placed it on that pole. So Dennis is forever in the movie because of that. So
Did he ever see it?
he did. He was filming that
Oh,
particular scene,
excellent.
so he definitely saw it.
Be
So
fun if you hear
small little Easter egg.
you hear a soundtrack later on, deleted scenes or something, and you just hear him snickering in the background. That'd be a nice add-on. All right, sir. Well, hey, I appreciate the time.
Of course,
This was so fun. This was fun. I look forward to seeing what comes next. And from now, I will let you go. I appreciate it. I could not appreciate it more. So you have a wonderful evening, and thank you again. I don't know how else to end it.
Thanks, man.
And there we go, guys. We're going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope you enjoyed the change in format and getting to listen to Greg. If you want to listen to the full interview I had with him, we will release that as a separate video here shortly. It's such a joy to get to talk with him, with anyone in the movie industry, but Greg was a super nice and super chill guy, and getting to discuss his craft, and what went into the making of this film was just super enjoyable. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. But we will end it here, and we will be back next week with another video. Thank you again for sharing your time with us. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please share this with anyone and everyone you think you would enjoy it. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you.